My name's Aaron Massey from MrFixItDIY.com, and this week I'm going to show you how I made these beautiful solid walnut floating shelves. In my last few videos, I showed you how and why a planer and a jointer are used a lot in woodworking projects, and how I made a simple plywood sled to make this rough sawn walnut nice and flat. So rather than going into a lot of detail about that, I'll refer you to those videos, which you can find in the description down below. Basically, I just needed to transform these boards into straight, flat boards for these shelves. From there, I cut down the shelves to the length I needed, which is 48 inches on my chop saw. For mounting hardware for these shelves, I grabbed these iSemble heavy-duty shelf brackets from my local Rockler woodworking store. What I like about these is that one side actually goes into the stud in the wall itself, so you can add a ton of weight to them, which is important since these are being used in the kitchen. The last thing I want is for a couple of these shelves full of dishes and kitchen items to come crashing down onto the floor. So I laid out where I wanted the brackets to go, keeping in mind that the studs in the wall are 16 inches apart, marked the center point on the shelves, and then drilled a 9/16 inch deep hole to the depth listed in the instructions. All the hardware and tools I used in this project are listed in the description below as affiliate links. If you do decide to buy some of these tools, I'd appreciate it if you use those links. It doesn't cost you any extra money, and it helps me continue to create content on the site, so I appreciate the support. Now, the bracket themselves have to be inset into the shelf to keep the shelf from sticking out away from the wall. So to cut out the mortises for the brackets, I decided to practice my hand tool work by just marking the outline of the hardware with a marking knife and then cutting out the mortises with a chisel and a mallet. Now, you could use a small router bit to remove most of the material and then clean it up with a chisel, but I figured I could use the practice, and since the finished product will be obscured by the wall, it's a great time to practice. Although I will say that I'm pretty damn happy with the way that these mortises came out, and I wouldn't mind displaying them. From there, it was just a matter of sanding down the walnut to 220 grit and then applying some finish. The figure on this walnut is beautiful and really popped once I put the finish on. I actually used an exterior satin spar urethane for the finish, mostly because it's what I had available, but also I figured an exterior rated finish would be good for an added layer of protection from stuff moving around on the shelves. Once I added a few coats of finish and let it dry, the last thing to do was just install them. I laid out where they were going to go, marking the studs, drilled the corresponding holes into the walls, and installed the brackets. Then I slid the shelves over the brackets, and voila, finished product. So that's it for this project. I love the look of these floating shelves. Once you have a nice flat board to work with, this is a pretty simple project that you can tackle yourself, especially if you focus on using the hand tools like I did. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. If this is your first time to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I put out new content pretty much weekly, so make sure you also hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the new content I put out. And if you want more information on how I prep the walnut boards for this project, remember to check out those other videos in the links down below. And if you want to check out any of the other DIY or home improvement projects I've got, be sure to visit my website at MrFixItDIY.com. And lastly, if podcasts are your thing, I've got one of those as well. Just type in How To Home in your favorite podcast platform and go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.